माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परवगच अष्टोसठेवान्यशील ऐसे भक्तवंत स्वामी प्रपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परवगच अष्टोसठेवान्यशील भक्त सिद्धांत सिंह गोसाई महाराज की अनंत कोट वैष्णव भक्तवृंद की नामाचार्य हृदय ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वाष्टादि गौर भक्तवृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम को राधा कृष्ण गोवर्धन की वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा मैया की यमुना मैया की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की भगवद गीता एज इट इज की दाई गौर प्रेमंदे ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Sri Guru and Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om akīrtiṁ ज्ञानञ्जन शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति सुबुद्धन्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांच श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं सावधेतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखावेन्तांच. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमाम्ये. वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यो च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवदेवो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. हरे कृष्ण. Hare Krishna. Today we will study Bhagavad Gita as it is. Contents of the Gita summarized. Text number 34. Please repeat after me. Akīrtiṁ cāpi bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya ca akīrtiṁ maraṇāt atiricyate akīrtiṁ cāpi bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya ca akīrtiṁ maraṇāt atiricyate akīrtiṁ cāpi bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya ca akīrtiṁ maraṇāt atiricyate akīrtiṁ cāpi bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya cākīrtir maraṇāt uccate
akīrtiṁ cāpi bhūtāni
akīrtiḥ bhūtāni
kathayiṣyanti te avyayām
sambhāvitasya cākīrtir sambhāvitasya cākīrtir maraṇāt atiricyate akīrtiḥ bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya cākīrtir maraṇāt atiricyate akīrtiḥ bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya cākīrtir maraṇāt atiricyate akīrtiḥ bhūtāni kathayiṣyanti te avyayām sambhāvitasya cākīrtir maraṇāt atiricyate. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. Now word to word translation. Akīrtiḥ, infamy. Cha, also. Api, over and above. Bhūtāni, all people. Kathayiṣyanti, will speak. Te, of you. Avyayām, forever. Sambhāvitasya, for a respectable man. Cha, also. Akīrtiḥ, ill fame. Maraṇāt, then death. Atiricyate, becomes more. Translation. People will always speak of your infamy. ये देखा नहीं दे रहा ना पर वही ठीक है. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. Purport. I think you repeat after me. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person, dishonor is worse than death. Purport. Both as friend and philosopher to Arjuna, Lord Kṛṣṇa now gives his final judgment regarding Arjuna's refusal to fight. The Lord says, Arjuna, if you leave the battlefield before the battle even begins, people will call you a coward. And if you think that people will call you bad names, but that you will save your life by fleeing the battlefield, then my advice is that you have to better to die in the battle. For a respectable man like you, ill fame is worse than death. So you should not flee for fear of your life. Better to die in the battle. That will save you from the ill fame of misusing my friendship and from losing your prestige in society. So, the final judgment of Lord was for Arjuna to die in the battle and not withdraw. This is regarding the performance of the prescribed duty for a Kshatriya, Arjuna being a Kshatriya. In this chapter, the chapter is divided in 5 sections from text number 1 to 10. Arjuna telling Kṛṣṇa some further doubts. 11 to 30, knowledge of soul. 31 to 38, performance of prescribed duties. 39 to 53, Buddhi Yoga. 54 to 70, Sthit become fixed in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. The Lord Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend Arjuna. Arjuna was a great devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Arjuna never forget Kṛṣṇa even for a moment actually. This is the nature of the devotee actually. Either in the working or in sleep. A devotee of the Lord is never free from thinking regarding Lord Kṛṣṇa. In respect of his qualities, fame, name, pastime, etc. The devotee of the Lord can conquer both sleep as well as ignorance simply by thinking of Lord Kṛṣṇa constantly. Kṛṣṇa never failed in his affection to his devotees. As a charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of the Arjuna, and since he did not hesitate to do, although he accepted the position of a charioteer for his devotee, his supreme position was not changed or challenged. His supreme position was as it is. He remained before the chariot driving or after chariot driving as Supreme Personality of Godhead actually. In all circumstances, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rishikesh, the Lord of total senses. The relationship between the Lord and his servitor, that is a devotee, is very sweet and transcendental. The servitor is always ready to render service to the Lord, and similarly, the Lord is always seeking an opportunity to render service to his devotees. He takes and feels the greater pleasure in his pure devotees, assuming the advantageous position out of ordering him than he does in being the giver of the orders. Mostly the Lord is the giver of the orders. He always gives the instructions, there are a lot of instructions in Bhagavad Gita, but when his pure devotee gives his instruction, order for the service, he feels pleasure actually. As a master, everyone is under his order. No one is above him. No one is above him to order him, actually. His orders, no one is above him to order him, but when he finds that a pure devotee is ordering him, he obtains the transcendental pleasure, although he is infallible, master of all circumstances. On the battlefield, Arjuna could see all kinds of relatives. He could see person like Bhūrishava, who was his father's contemporaries, grandfathers Bhishma and Somdatta, teachers like Dronacharya and Kripaಚಾರ್ಯ, maternal uncle like Salya and Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, sons like Lakshman, friends like Aswathama, well-wishers and friends, etc. Like, he could see also the armies which contains many of his friends. Arjuna, just after seeing his kinsmen, friends and relatives on the battlefield, was at once overwhelmed by the compassion for them, who had so decided to fight against him. As far as soldiers were concerned, he was sympathetic from the beginning, but he felt compassion even for the soldiers of the opposite party, foreseeing their imminent death. While he was so thinking, and the limbs of his body began to quiver, and his mouth became dry. Any man who has genuine devotion to the Lord has all the good qualities. Similarly, the Arjuna has all the good qualities of the devotees, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. These good qualities are mostly found in the godly persons, actually, or in demigod. Whereas the non-devotees, or however advanced he may be in the mental qualification by education, culture, lacks in godly qualities. Godly qualities are totally absent in the materialistically. As a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjuna had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come into the battlefield by the obstinacy of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Lord Kṛṣṇa asked the 5 blisses for the Pandavas, which was rejected by the Duryodhana, actually. And the peace negotiation was not reached, actually. Although there was no question of peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again, to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war, actually. The war was unwanted, actually. It was not necessary, actually. Seeing them, standing before them, his Gandhi bow slipped out of his hand. He was not in a position to stand anymore. He said that he did not see any good can come from killing his own kinsmen in the battlefield. He was not prepared to fight with his kinsmen, even in exchange of 3 words. He gave many reasons, actually, not to fight. Destruction of dynasty, eternal family traditions are vanquished, the rest of the family members are involved in the irreligious activities. And because of irreligion, women of family are polluted, and from degradation of them, unwanted population would come. When there is increase of unwanted population, a hellish situation is created both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. In such a corrupt families, there is no offering of oblation or food and water to the ancestors. As a Kshatriya, he is not supposed to refuse to the battle or gamble. When a Kshatriya is so invited by some rival party under such obligation, he cannot refuse fighting because he was challenged by the other parties. Similarly, the Arjuna could not refuse to fight because he was challenged by the party of Duryodhana. In this connection, Arjuna considered that the other party might be blind to the effects of such a challenge. Arjuna, however, could see evil consequences and could not accept the challenge. Obligation is actually binding when the effect is good, but when the effect is otherwise, then no one can be bound. Considering all these aspects, Arjuna decided not to fight. In the presence of Supreme Personal Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming. And therefore, Kṛṣṇa expressed his surprise over his lamentation. He is surprised with the words kutaha, from where such unmanly sentiments were there. He never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class. The civilized class of man is known as Aryan. The persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know the aim of life. The aim of life is the realization of absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, but they are captivated by the external feature of the material world. Therefore, they do not know what is the liberation, what is the aim of life, what are the modes of material nature, how these modes of material can be crossover actually. Arjuna was a Kshatriya. He was deviating from his prescribed duty by declining to the fight. This act of cowardice is described as befitting the non-Aryans. Such deviation from duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it even give him the opportunity to become famous in the world actually. Lord Kṛṣṇa did not approve the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman actually. If you are in the battlefield and you express compassion, love, affection to his kinsman actually, then how you can fight the battle actually? How one can perform his prescribed duties? The prescribed duty of the Kshatriya is to fight for the cause of religion actually. The Paras Muni, regarding the Kshatriya, duty of Kshatriya, has expressed Kshatriyo hi prajarakshan sasta pani pradayam nirjayat pada sainyadi chatim dharmena palayet. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizen from all kinds of difficulties. And for that reason, he has to apply the violence actually. For performance of the duty, actually prescribed duty as a Kshatriya actually, one has to apply violence actually. He has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings actually. And thus with the religious principle, he should rule the world actually. Considering all the aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting actually. He must fight actually. If he conquers his enemy, he would enjoy the kingdom. If he dies in the battle, he would be elevated to the heavenly planets, whose doors are wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefits in either case actually. Now in this case, the Arjuna is not performing his duty actually. He is giving certain pleas actually. If a disciple does not perform his duty, prescribed duties, according to the instructions laid down in the scriptures, he will be in the wrong direction, wrong path actually. He can't achieve anything actually. He was not prepared to fight and was giving reasons which are in the code of duty, which was not in the code of duty of Kshatriya actually. He was confused about his duty and lost all composure because of miserly weakness. He asked the Lord Kṛṣṇa to tell him certain what is the best for him. He was not knowing what is the best for him. To win the enemies or to be won by them. He surrendered himself unto the Lord Kṛṣṇa. He submitted himself as his disciple. Who are the miserly people? Miserly people are those who waste their time in being overly affectionate for his family actually. Society, country, etc. In the material conception of life. Miserly thinks that he is able to protect his family members from the death. Can anybody protect his members from the death? No. One cannot protect. Or society. And the miser person thinks that his family society can save him from death. In either case, nobody can save. And such family attachment are found even in the lower animals who take care of children also. Being intelligent, Arjuna could understand that his affection for the family members and his wish to protect them from death are the cause of his perplexities. Although he could understand that his duty to fight was awaiting him, still on account of miserly weakness, he could not discharge the duties. He asked therefore the Lord Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to make a definite solution. He offered himself to the Kṛṣṇa as a disciple. Kṛṣṇa is therefore the original master, original spiritual master. Arjuna is the first disciple of Lord Kṛṣṇa actually. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vivākasya tasya kartaram pipmam vidhi akartaram avyayām. According to three modes of material nature, the work prescribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by Lord Kṛṣṇa. And although the Lord Kṛṣṇa, creator of this system, one should know that he is the non-doer, being unchangeable. Lord Kṛṣṇa is the creator of everything. Everything is born of him. Everything is sustained by him. And everything after annihilation rests in him. He is the creator of 4 divisions of the social order, beginning with the intelligent class of man known as Brahman. Brahmans, due to their being situated in the mode of goodness. Next is the administrative class, technically called the Kshatriya. Due to their being situated in the mode of passion, the mercantile men, called the Vaishyas, are situated in the mixed mode of passion and ignorance, and the Sudra or labor classes are situated in the ignorant mode of material nature. In spite of creating the 4 divisions of human society, Lord Kṛṣṇa does not belong to any of these divisions, because these divisions are for the conditioned soul. And Lord Kṛṣṇa is not conditioned. He is the Supreme Personality of God actually. The question of infamy actually. Arjuna was a great devotee. He was a great warrior also actually. He had many certificates actually. One from Lord Shiva, Pasupatastra. Lord Shiva gave him the Pasupatastra. He received certificate from the Swarga, and he won many battles actually. He was famous actually. Similarly, if any man who is respected in society, and if he the respected person is caught red-handed by the police while taking bribe or accepting bribe or giving bribe, it is infamy of him. It is better to die actually. The death is better than this infamy actually. Some are caught molesting girls. The so-called actually these gods actually, in the past actually, they have been caught actually. They were facing actually the court trial actually, and they are punished also. Now they are in the jail actually. They were respected men. Before, nobody was knowing them actually. Some are caught molesting girls. They brought before the magistrate in shameful conditions actually. There are so-called saintly persons also who are put in jail for rapes to the minor girls actually. Similarly, the Lord advises the Kṛṣṇa to keep away from himself from infamy actually, which is worse than death actually. Lord Kṛṣṇa wants that the act of cowardice will earn ill fame in the society actually. And for a respectable person, it is better to die actually, before he is earned in fame actually. For a sannyasi, intimate relations with women and possession of wealth for sense gratification are strictly forbidden. The ideal sannyasi was Lord Chaitanya himself. He learned from his life that he was very strict in regards to the woman, although he is considered to be the most liberal incarnation of Godhead, accepting the most fallen conditioned soul. This is the most liberal. He strictly followed the rules and regulations of the sannyas order of life in connection with the association of the woman. One of his personal association, namely Chota Haridas, was personally associated with the Lord Chaitanya along with his other confidential persons. But somehow or other, this Chota Haridas looked lustfully on a young woman, and Lord Chaitanya was so strict that he at once rejected him from the society of his personal associates. Lord Chaitanya said, for a sannyasi or anyone who is aspiring to get out of the clutches of the material nature and trying to elevate himself to the spiritual nature, back to Godhead, for him, looking toward material possession and woman for sense gratification, not enjoying them, but just looking towards them with such a propensity is so condemned that he had better commit suicide before experiencing such illicit desire. So these are the process for purification. Nityam kuru karam tvam karm jayo hi akarmana sariryatar apicate na prasiddhita akramana. Perform your prescribed duties. Action is better than inaction. A man cannot even maintain his physical body without work. There are many meditators who misrepresent themselves as belonging to high parentage and great professional men who falsely pose themselves as they have sacrificed everything for the sake of advancement in spiritual life. Lord Kṛṣṇa did not want Arjuna to become a pretender, but he performed his prescribed duties as set forth for the Kshatriya. Arjuna was a householder for a military general, and therefore it was better for him to remain as such and perform his religious duties as prescribed for the householder Kshatriya. Such activities gradually cleanse the heart of mundane man and free from material contamination. So-called renunciation for the purpose of maintenance is never approved by the Lord, nor by any religious scriptures. After all, one has to maintain one's body and soul together by some work. Work should not be given up capriciously. Without purification of the materialistic propensities, anyone who is in the material world is certainly possessed of impure propensity for lording it over the material nature. In other words, for sense gratification. Such polluted propensities have to be cleansed actually. Without doing so, through prescribed duties, one should never attempt to become a so-called transcendentalist. Nityasatu sannyasah karmano napapadyate mohat tasya pratigyas tamasah parikirtidha. Prescribed duty should never be renounced. Just as the Arjuna was renouncing actually. His prescribed duty was fighting actually. Work for material satisfaction must be given up. only the material satisfaction. But the activities which promote one to the spiritual platform, like cooking for the spiritual Lord, offering the food to the Lord, and then accepting the food are recommended. It is said the person in the renounced order of life should not cook for himself. Cooking for oneself is prohibited, but cooking for the Supreme Lord is not prohibited. Similarly, a sannyasi may perform a marriage ceremony to help his disciples in the advancement of Kṛṣṇa consciousness. If one renounces such activity, it should be understood that he is acting in the mode of darkness actually. The sannyasis must help the devotees actually in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, advancement of Kṛṣṇa consciousness actually. Karyam it eva yat karma nityam kriyate Arjuna sangam tukta phalam chaiva syataga sattiko mataha. He who performs prescribed duty only because it is ought to be done actually, and renounces all attachments to the fruits of his activities, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness actually. Prescribed duty must be performed with mentality. One should act without attachment for the results. He should dissociate it from the modes of work. A man working in Kṛṣṇa consciousness does not associate himself with the fruits of his work. He simply works for Kṛṣṇa. And when he gives up the result of Kṛṣṇa, he is acting on the transcendental platform actually. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma cetasa nirasi nirmamo bhūtva yuddhasya vikata jvar. O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with knowledge of me, and without desire for gain, and with no claim to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, please fight actually. Fight without any result actually. Prescribed duties actually. One has to become fully Kṛṣṇa conscious in discharge of the duties, as if in a military discipline. Such an injunction may make things a little difficult. Nevertheless, duties must be carried out with dependence on Kṛṣṇa, because that is the constitutional position of living entities. Living entity cannot be happy without the cooperation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead actually. Because the living entity is the eternal subordinate to the Lord Kṛṣṇa. That is the constitutional position of the living entity. Arjuna, therefore, ordered by the Sri Kṛṣṇa to fight as if the Lord were his military commander. One has to sacrifice everything for the goodwill of the Supreme Lord. At the same time, discharge prescribed duties without claiming proprietorship. Arjuna did not have to consider the order of Lord. He had to execute his order. The Supreme Lord is the soul of all soul. Therefore, one who depends slowly and wholly on the Supreme Soul without personal consideration, or in other words, one who is fully Kṛṣṇa conscious, is called adhyatma cetasa. Nirasi means that one has to act on the order of the Supreme Master without desire or gain. Nor should one never expect fruitive results. one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Lord Supreme Personal Godhead. When one acts in such Kṛṣṇa consciousness, certainly he does not claim proprietorship over anything. Because the people are not feeling actually. They are just actually feeling this is mine, this is mine, this is mine actually. Everything. This is the reason actually, you know. They're not performing prescribed duties actually. This consciousness called nirmam, or nothing is mine. If there is any reluctance to execute such a stern order, which is without consideration of so-called kinsmen in the bodily relationship, that reluctance should be thrown off actually. In this way, one may become bigatjvar, or without favoring mentality or lethargy. Everyone, according to his quality and position, has a particular type of work to discharge, and all such duties may be discharged in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Eme matam idam nityam anutishtansti manavaha sardhavanto anushuyanto muchyante te api karmabhi. One who executes their duties according to my instructions, according to Kṛṣṇa, Lord Kṛṣṇa, and who follows this teaching faithfully, without envy, become free from bondage of fruitive activities. One has to follow the instruction of Lord Kṛṣṇa in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam actually, to become free from bondage of this material world actually. Whosoever may be actually, whosoever may be. It applies to all actually. This is the essence of Vedic wisdom. It is eternally due without exception. If the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Kṛṣṇa consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in these injunctions without being envious to the Lord actually. There are many philosophers who wrote comments on Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Kṛṣṇa. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of the karma. In the beginning of Kṛṣṇa consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Etad abhisuyanto nautitansi me matam sarva jnana vimudan stan viddhi nastan achetasaha. But those who out of the envy disregard these instructions, teachings, do not follow them regularly, are to be considered bereft of all knowledge. Any person who may be expert in Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam but does not follow the instruction of Lord, actually, he is bereft of all knowledge. That knowledge is useless actually. Activity in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, or acting for the benefit of Kṛṣṇa without expression of sense gratification, is the highest transcendental quality of work actually. Even a small beginning of such activity finds no impediment, nor can that a small beginning be lost at any stage. In Kṛṣṇa consciousness, a work started has a permanent effect, that is eternal actually. Any work begun on the material platform has to be completed. Otherwise, whole attempt will become a failure actually. But any work begun in Kṛṣṇa consciousness has a permanent effect, even though not completed. The performer of such work is therefore not at loss. If his work in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is incomplete, 1% done in Kṛṣṇa consciousness bears permanent effect actually. So in the next beginning is from the 2% actually. Whereas the material activities without 100% success, there is no profit actually. Vyayām will perform his duty in some percentage of Kṛṣṇa consciousness, but the result he enjoyed at the end of his life was 100% by the grace of Lord. Material activities and the results end with this body actually. When the body dies, all the activities become lost actually. But in Kṛṣṇa consciousness carries a person again to the Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Even after the loss of the body, at least one is sure to have a chance in the next life of being born again as a human being, either in the family of a great cultured Brahman or in a rich aristocrat family. That will give a further chance for elevation. That is the unique quality of work done in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Hare Krishna, I end up here. Thank you very much. Any question? Hare Krishna.